Hello and welcome back. This is part 2 of percentage, decimal and fractions. In this video, I will be teaching you how to turn a fraction into a percentage and also how to turn a percentage back into a fraction. Okay, so let's have a look at the first one. So we've got a half, 1/2, and we want to turn a half into a percentage. So we know that percentage is out of 100. So the first thing we need to do is turn a half into out of 100. So what have I done to the 2, which is the denominator here, to turn it into out of 100? I've multiplied by 50. 2 times by 50 equals 100. Whatever you do to the denominator, you need to do to the numerator. So you need to do the same at the top. So 1 times 50 would be 50. Absolutely correct. Okay, so half as a percentage is 50%. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. We've got a quarter. Again, we need to turn the fraction into out of 100 first thing. Okay, without doing that, it's very difficult to change the fraction into a percentage. So let's turn the fraction into out of 100. At the moment, the denominator is 4. What do I need to do to change the 4 into 100? I can multiply it by 25. 4 times 25 is 100. Whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. So 1 times 25 is 25. Okay, so the answer is 25%. Okay, let's move on to the next one. We've got 7/50 here, and again we need to turn it into out of 100 before we can turn it into a percentage. So what can I do to the 50 to turn it into 100? I can multiply it by 2. So 50 times by 2 is 100, and 7 times by 2 is 14. So the answer is 14%. 7/50 is the same as 14%. Let's have a look at this one. 11/25. What is that as a percentage? Well, let's turn it into out of 100 first. 25 times by 4 is 100. So we do exactly the same to the top. 11 times by 4 is 44. So the percentage is 44%. Okay, let's have a look at this one. Now, this one is a little bit trickier because we've got 39/60. Now, can I multiply 60 by anything to turn it into out of 100? No, I can't. Because 60 times by 2 is 120. 60 times by 1 is 60. 60 times by 2 is 120. If I multiply it by anything bigger, it'll be bigger than 120. So what I need to do first with something like this, if you can't turn it into out of 100 directly, then what you need to do is you need to simplify the fraction. Simplify it. What can I divide 39 and 60 by? Think of the highest common factor. What is the highest common factor? Which number can I divide 39 and 60 by? I can divide both of them by 3. Divide them both by 3 to simplify it. Whatever I do to the bottom, I do to the top. 60 divided by 3 is 20. And 39 divided by 3 is 13. So now I have a simplified version of 39/60. And guess what? Look at that fraction. Yes, you can turn that fraction into out of 100 now because I've got 20 as a denominator, and I know that 20 can be multiplied and turned into out of 100. What can I multiply 20 by to make it into 100? Absolutely correct. Times it by 5. And whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. Okay, so 20 times by 5 is 100, and 13 times by 5, 65. Because 10 times 5 is 50, and 3 times 5 is 15, and that's 65. So 39/60 is 65% because we've got it out of 100 now. We've made it into out of 100. But can you see it took us 2 steps to get to the problem. So if you can't directly change a fraction into out of 100, then have a think about simplifying the fraction. Okay, let's have a look at this one. Again, this one will need simplifying because I can't turn 40 into out of 100. I can't multiply it. I can't divide it to turn it into out of 100. So let's simplify. What can I divide 40 and 18 by? What can I divide both of them by? Well, I can divide both of them by 2. And I know if I divide 40 by 2, I'll get 20. And I know that 20 can be turned into out of 100. So I'll divide it by 2. So 40 divided by 2 is 20. 18 divided by 2 is 9. Okay, now I need to turn that into out of 100. And as I said earlier, 20 times by 5 is 100. And 9 times by 5 is 45. This is where your times tables knowledge comes in. So as a percentage, 18/40 is 45%. Okay, let's see if we've got any more. We've got what? 2 more. Let's have a look at these. Right, these are now turning a percentage into a fraction. So it's quite simple. 35%, we know 35% is 35 out of 100, but that's not good enough. We need to simplify that and write it in its simplest form. So can you think of a factor, highest common factor that we can divide 35 and 100 by? What can we divide 35 and 100 by? We can divide both of them by 5 because 100 is a multiple of 5 and 35 is also a multiple of 5. So we can divide both of them by 5. And 35 divided by 5 is 7. And 100 divided by 5 is 20. So 35% is 7/20. It was 35 hundredths, but we had to simplify it to 7/20. Okay. Let's have a look at this one, 60%. Let's turn 60% into a simplified fraction. So we know 60% is 60 out of 100. That's quite straightforward. But we need to simplify this. What can I divide 60 and 100 by? What's the highest common factor? Look at the numbers. Look at what they end in. They are both multiples of 10. So I can divide both of them by 10. Okay, so let's divide both of them by 10. 100 divided by 10 is 10. And 60 divided by 10 is 6. Now, what do you realize here? Yes, you're absolutely right. We can simplify it further. So just dividing by 10 didn't simplify it enough. We can simplify that further. So don't stop until you can't simplify it anymore. So what can I divide both 6 and 10 by? What can I divide both of these numbers by? What sort of numbers are they? They are even numbers. So what can I divide them by? Well done. Divide them by 2. If I divide 10 by 2, I get 5. And if I divide 6 by 2, I get 3. Now, that's our simplified version. I can't simplify that anymore. So I've got 3/5. So actually 60% is the same as 3/5. So as you can see, it took us a few steps, but we got to the answer and it wasn't difficult at all. So keep on practicing until you get confident with this. This will really help you when it comes to doing those word problems about percentage, decimals and fractions. Take care. See you soon.